I had a business degree, a job in Portsmouth, and a one-way ticket to Boston, but I never made it past Portsmouth. 25 years later, I'm gonna tell you the 8 reasons I love being in New Hampshire and why I'd make the same call every single time. The last reason is actually the one that made me stay. Reason number 1, the Lakes region. I've got to start with the Lakes region. That alone is worth the move. More than 270 bodies of water, lakes, ponds, and rivers spread across a 4-season playground just south of the White Mountains, and anchoring it all is Lake Winnipesaukee. Around 70 square miles with more than 260 islands and some of the cleanest water in New England. Then you've got Squam, Winnisquam, Newfound, Sunapee, Opeechee, and the list goes on. Here's the thing that most people don't get until they live here. You get off at 5 and you're on the water by 5:30. This is common Tuesday after work. Morning swim before the kids wake up, a boat ride on a Wednesday night just because the water's glassy and perfect. That's real life in the Lakes region. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how many people are paying serious money just to borrow that lifestyle for a week. My wife said it best when we first started talking about putting roots down here. She looked at me and said, "Not everyone grows up with that giant lake in their backyard." She was right. Once you've had it, you can't imagine going back. And that leads right into reason number 2. Quick note before we dive deeper. If you're watching this and thinking about making New Hampshire your next chapter, shoot me an email or reach out using the contact info in the description. My team at the Dow Group is filled with area experts, and we help families and relocators like you figure out what actually fits. All right, now back to the video. Reason number 2, growing up on the water. Learning to drive a boat young. Most kids learn to read a subway map. Kids in the Lakes region learn to read buoys. They don't just swim in the lake, but they learn how to move around it. Rights of way, how to come into a dock without smashing a cleat, how to look at the wind and chop before you push the throttle. Stuff New Hampshire kids pick up like it's normal, like tying their shoes. I knew how to drive a boat long before I ever got behind the wheel of a car. And let me just put it on the table. That's not a small thing. There's a real confidence you build out there. You're making calls real time. You're responsible for a boat and the people on it. That stays with you, and it shows up on how you handle everything else. And this ties straight into why this is such a special place to raise kids, which we'll look at more closely later on in this video. And I'm not just saying it. Regional guides call the Lakes region one of the best family spots in New England for a simple reason. Kids can swim, tube, water ski, and paddle on a normal weekend, not some once-a-year trip. When you grow up here, the lake is your backyard, so that outdoor identity starts on the water, and it carries right into the mountain. Reason number 3, mountains, hiking, and skiing. New Hampshire has around 17 ski areas. Not Little Bunny Hills, real ski areas. Bretton Woods is the biggest in the state. Cannon, Loon, Wildcat, Waterville Valley are all legit resorts with legit terrain. And then you've got local spots too. Pat's Peak, Ragged, Whaleback, smaller places built around families and after-school programs, and that's exactly where a lot of us grew up. My mom used to drop me off at the local hill and come back hours later. That was the babysitter, the mountain. I'd be outside all afternoon with my friends, burning energy, learning to ski, and doing what New Hampshire kids do. I didn't realize until older how rare that is. And I'll be straight with you, skiing is way easier to learn when you're a kid. And it's not only the skiing. The White Mountains give you year-round access, summer hikes, and fall foliage. Mount Washington, at 6,288 feet, is the tallest peak in the entire Northeast. And Mount Monadnock is one of the most climbed mountains in the world. Mountains in the morning, lakes in the afternoon. That's normal here. And the community that forms around all of it, that's the part of the reality that makes it stick. Reason number 4, great community vibe. Growing up in a small New Hampshire town, I wasn't always thrilled that my mom seemed to know what I was about to do wrong before I even did it. Everybody talks, everybody knows everybody, there's nowhere to hide, and as a teenager, that's the last thing that you want. But here's the thing, as an adult, that's exact same vibe becomes one of the best parts of living here. People show up and your neighbors keep an eye out for your kids. You see the same faces at the school fundraiser, in the town meeting, and the Saturday farmers market. It's familiar and it feels steady. And New Hampshire runs on a town meeting model, direct democracy. Your actual neighbors are deciding how things work, and you can feel it. It's not some idea on a page. One of the things that gets overlooked is this. A lot of people who live in New Hampshire made a choice to be here. There isn't some massive corporate move dropping people in by the thousands. People move here because they want lifestyle, and that changes the feel of the place. Folks tend to be more present, more intentional. That's what real community feels like. Okay, so let's get to meet my number 5 reason to love living here. Reason number 5, people live here by choice. We live where others vacation. We've got a tagline up here. We live where others vacation. And it's not just a bumper sticker because the numbers back it up. New Hampshire Division of Travel and Tourism reported roughly 4.5 million visitors and about 2.5 billion in visitor spending in the summer of 2023 alone. And that keeps growing because the state positions itself as a 4-season destination, pulling road trip travelers from Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, and Quebec. The point is, millions of people are paying real money, driving hours, booking hotels, planning weeks ahead just to do what you'd call a normal weekend if you lived here. Their slogan is, discover your new. That's the whole pitch. Come see the lakes, come see the mountains, come see the small towns, come feel the pace of life, come breathe the air. Then Sunday night hits and they drive home, back to wherever they came from. And they try to hold on to that feeling with a screensaver or a scented candle. Meanwhile, you can just live here. Now that kind of demand, 4.5 million people want to be here, shows up in the housing market. Current data from Zillow and Redfin have typical New Hampshire home values in the 400s to 500s, depending on the location, property type, and town. Strong demand, tight inventory. The market keeps moving up because people keep wanting in. And once you understand the seasons they're paying to experience, the appeal gets even clearer. Reason number 6, true 4 seasons. Over 100 in the summer, below 0 in the winter. I'm gonna be honest, not everybody's built for this one. New Hampshire gives you all 4 seasons, like fully. Summer can push into the 90s and it gets humid. It's those hot lake days where the water feels perfect and the evenings go long and golden. Winter otherwise can drop below 0, and up north, that's not some weird one-off thing. Higher elevations of the White Mountains regularly see hundreds of inches of snow a year. You learn how to drive in it, how to dress for it, and you learn real quick to respect it. Spring is the mud season. Roads get rutty, the ground goes soft, and everything is thawing. It's messy and it's kind of beautiful at the same time. A fall in New Hampshire is just on another level. The foliage pulls in over 1 million visitors a year easily when you add up the leaf peepers from across New England and Canada. That's not hype, it's real, and it's literally in your backyard. We've got a line for that too. If you don't like the weather here, wait 15 minutes. Living somewhere with actual seasons just feels different. You get 4 totally different experiences and you can drive across the whole state in a few hours. That kind of variety is hard to find. And the wild part is, there's a reason New Hampshire gets to have all of this without some downside stuff other places deal with. That's next. Reason number 7, very little environmental impact. Here's something most people don't think about when they're picking where to put down roots, and they really should. New Hampshire sits in a pretty unique spot on the map. We're in inland New England. We're not sitting on the Gulf, we're not out on the far edge of the coast, and we're not living on top of a major fault line like the ones out west. When the state talks about hazards, it's usually winter storms and pockets of spring flooding from snowmelt, not the big headline stuff that's pushing families out of other regions. Now, are we totally risk-free? No. You live near rivers in low areas, spring melt can raise the water levels, nor'easters are real and you've got to prepare for them. You learn to take the storms seriously up here. But the day-to-day reality is we're not dealing with hurricane season every year. We're not dealing with large-scale wire fire evacuations like a lot of the western states. Fire risk can spike in dry stretches, but it's still not the constant life-disturbing threat like in other parts of the country. And earthquakes here are rare and usually small. And since people always ask about the creepy crawlies, New Hampshire has 11 native snake species and only one is venomous, the timber rattlesnake. It's critically endangered here, and there's basically one known wild population. Most of the time you see a snake, it's a harmless garter snake near the water, and that's it. So when you're thinking about raising a family or retiring here, that peace of mind adds up. And it rolls right into the last reason I love living in New Hampshire. Reason number 8, great place to grow up, great place to raise kids. I saved this one for last because it's the one that actually made me stay. Not the views, not the fun stuff, not the tax stuff. Raising a family here gives your kids something you can't fake somewhere else. This is how childhood actually feels. Kids can walk to school, they can walk to downtown, they can ride their bike to a friend's house and just be gone for a few hours. And it's going to be safe. You're not texting every 10 minutes to try and track them down. Here, there's this independence built into everyday lifestyle here that a lot of places just don't have anymore. When you grow up with that, you carry it with you. You learn how to make good calls. You learn how to handle yourself. You learn how to be part of a community instead of just living next to people. That's the part that is getting rare. So many kids now are scheduled from morning to night. Everything's inside, everything is planned. And a lot of life ends up being on screens because that's the easiest default when life gets busy. Up here, the culture leans the other way. It's normal for families to be outside. It's normal for families to have a little space. It's normal for weekends to be simple, local, and active without needing some big production. And in the Lakes region, there are so many family-friendly things that just fit into real life. Farm visits, corn mazes, you-pick orchards, and public beaches. Parks that are actually set up for families to hang out and stay a while. So if you want your kids to grow up with confidence, real independence, and a life that isn't built around being indoors all the time, New Hampshire makes that easier. It's a great place to grow up. It's a great place to raise kids. I know because I grew up here and I chose to stay here to raise my family here too. Conclusion. I really thought I was just passing through New Hampshire growing up here, but 25 years later, I'm still here, and every one of these 8 reasons is a big part of why. This place just doesn't grow on you, it becomes the standard. Everything else kind of gets compared to it. So if you're seriously thinking about making a move, shoot me an email at adam@thedowgroup.com. My team works with relocators across the Lakes region, the mountains, and the seacoast every single day, and we'll help you find out exactly where you fit. I've linked another video right here where I give you my honest take on New Hampshire after living here my whole life. The pros, the cons, the property taxes, who this state is actually right for and who isn't. If you want the full picture before you commit, that's the next one to watch. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.